Hey there guys, I am SonicGhost, and welcome back to some more Let's Play Splatoon 2 multiplayer. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Splatoon 2's biggest event here, Splatoon 2 Splatfest. Without any further ado, let's jump into things. Y'all feeling fresh out there? We're off the hook, coming at you live from the middle of Inkopolis Square. The Super Mario Bros. 35th Anniversary Splatfest Collab-a-ganza has begun. Let's go! Head over to the Splatfest terminal and pick a side. So that is the Splatfest we are covering here, or at least for a little bit in this video. At the time of recording this, the Super Mushroom vs. Superstar Splatfest here for Super Mario Bros. 35th Anniversary is going on. So this is how we're going to be starting today's video, but we're going to be talking about Splatfest as a whole here in this video. So, whenever you turn on your game during a Splatfest, they'll be telling you about your Turf War stages here, and this is all you can play during Splatfest. You can only play Turf War, so no ranked battle modes are going to be in this game. But, to make up for this, you have a special stage for this Splatfest exclusively. You'll make the stage? That's amazing, Marina! Now, you can still play Salmon Run here, as you can see. So I could still go over the Grizzco right now and play this mode if I wasn't wanting to play Turf War. But if you're playing Splatoon 2 and you're not playing Splatfest, you're missing out, because this is a timed event. Splatfest normally only lasts 24 hours in Splatoon 2, but during special events, like the 35th Mario Anniversary Splatfest, this is a 48-hour event, so we have a very long time to play here. So to go over some basics, whenever you have Splatfest get announced, you'll have a whole big introduction thing while turning on Splatoon 2 talking about whatever Splatfest is coming up. And then from there you get told your teams, and you get told the date and times of when the Splatfest starts and ends. So let's just go ahead and look at the witty little dialogue we have for the Super Mushroom vs. Superstar Splatfest here in Splatoon 2. Back like we never left, it's Mario time. We're celebrating the Super Mario Bros. 35th Anniversary, Splatfest style. Would you rather go big and have Super Mushroom power? Or would you rather have Superstar power and be invincible? Hold up though, Pearl. Wasn't the Splatopolis the final Splatfest? It was, but it's Mario. We gotta throw a party. True that. Okay, back to business. Pearl, I'm guessing you're Team Superstar? What? No way. Super Mushroom for life. Oh, really? I thought maybe you wouldn't want to, admit... Admit what? You know, that you're not, big enough already. Listen, Marina, I'm already huge. I'm already unstoppable. Why not go bigger? Alright, because there's no such thing as invincibler. Exactly. Got it. In that case... It's Team Superstar for me. Star power, here I come. You're already a star, Marina. We're an unstoppable duo. We're off the hook. Never shook, win every fight like a shark bite. Can't argue with that, but I'm also really into running super fast and sparkles. Come on, Marina. One time, let's fight for the same team. Can't do it, Pearl. The star is calling. Get big, bust bricks, don't you ever forget. Stompin' trouble double size, blowing up before your very eyes. Agree to disagree? Agreed. Let's go, Super Mushrooms. Jump up, Superstars. By the way, this is a 48-hour Splatfest, so be ready to give it your all. Hit the turf splat and don't let up. Now head over to the Splatfest terminal and pick your favorite power-up. Do it for Mario, and make sure to equip your Splatfest T and level it up. When you know what Splatfest you're going to be playing, you head over to the terminal that appears now in the Splatoon 2 Plaza. There'll be a billboard that you can go ahead and interact with, ask you what team you want to pick. Go ahead and pick your team, and then you will get a Splatfest T, but do keep in mind this t-shirt you can only keep for that Splatfest. You cannot be using that outside of the Splatfest event. So once the Splatfest is over, you'll be having to return that t-shirt. So whatever gear that you get on there, whatever abilities you have, for example, you need to scrub that off before the Splatfest ends so you don't lose access to those pieces of chunks that are attached to your gear. Nice thing about Splatfest though is that merch will actually scrub your Splatfest tee for a reduced price. Normally it costs 20,000 gold to scrub any piece of gear in the game, but during a Splatfest, he will scrub Splatfest tees for only 2,000 gold. So take advantage of this as much as you can during a Splatfest because that will save you a lot of money in the long run. One more thing to mention before we start taking a look at the current event going on here in Splatoon 2 is how the plaza just transforms within like a day or two of Splatfest happening. So before Splatfest happens, you can actually see a transformation happen in the plaza. You can see a whole bunch of stuff starting to go under construction for the special event. So you can see a stage starting to get built here in the plaza. You get to see extra pieces of wiring all throughout the city so they can have the custom billboards up so we can go ahead and see all these different posts inside of Splatoon 2 all throughout the area. It's not just going to be floating around here on your Inkling or Octarians. It will also be plastered throughout the walls throughout Splatfest. One more thing I want to go ahead and mention before we start taking a look around here in the plaza is that you can go ahead and see some more detail now in your Nintendo Switch Online app here in Splatoon 2. During Splatfest, there is a Splatfest section in the Nintendo Switch Online app. So you can go ahead and make your way into the Splatfest section, see how long Splatfest is going on for, see who picks on what side, and you can just get some stats about the event overall. So this is a nice little addition that you get only during Splatfest events, but it is nice they still think of this mode in the online app, so you can check this stuff even when you're not playing Splatoon 2. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at how Splatfest is during a main event here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the plaza here during a Splatoon 2 Splatfest. So as mentioned earlier, we're starting off here looking at the Super Mario Bros. 35th Anniversary Splatfest. And we can see a whole bunch of different posts here in the plaza relating to the Splatfest. So we have Super Mushrooms versus Superstars as the two different powers being pinned against each other here in Splatfest. And we see a bunch of different posts here all relating to this theme. It is really nice. We can go ahead now and zoom in our camera here to Pearl and Marina on the stage, and you can see them both dancing around. And they're also wearing colors representing the Splatfest that they are representing themselves. So Pearl is in red for Super Mushrooms, and Marina's more in yellow to represent Superstars. They change colors based on whatever teams they are representing, and this is a very nice detail, especially being able to see them dance and perform here live in the Splatoon 2 Plaza. Just see them interact here in Inkopolis Square outside of their little headquarters area. This is always a nice touch to me. And it gives this place a lot more personality just to see our two hosts interacting with the rest of the crowd. It's a nice little live show. But now we can go ahead and walk around here a little bit and we can see everyone holding up some of their posts here in just like blanket form, which is really nice. And everyone's just having a great time. We can even see some of the other beans here in the plaza just waving around flags and such for the event and even wearing Splatfest tees themselves. It's really nice, and this is just a very nice personalized game. And it's just something I always like seeing whenever Splatfest rolls around, just to see how personalized everything can get. We can see everyone dancing around, and it doesn't matter if it's an Inkling or Octarian here in the plaza. You can even see members of the staff dancing around too, like Krusty Sean is moving around here a bit in his little food cart, which is a nice little touch. You got the little Judds over here dancing around their table. And then we can go around here even further and see Marie here even kind of dancing around a bit. So she's not fully dancing like everyone else because she's just kind of hiding out in the shadows. But you can see her just kind of moving her body to the rhythm. It's a very nice touch. So the plaza here is a big highlight. One other thing I want to mention right here is we can go ahead and check the Splatfest teams. And we can go ahead and see our information, but we can also see how well people are currently doing in the Splatfest. So we see that this team called the Lady Gang has won a 100x battle, and we can see how well they did there. We can get Splatfest information here, which just gives you a rundown basically of the event. So if you're unsure of what Splatfests are really about, here's just a bit more information about the event itself. Well, let's just go ahead and jump into things here. So let's make our way into the lobby and start a game. So jumping in here, we have a couple different options here. As mentioned earlier, during this event, you can only play Turf War, so ranked battles are completely excluded now from our lobby system. We can play Splatfest Battle Pro or Splatfest Battle Normal. We can go ahead and play along with our friends in this mode, but if you don't want to play Splatfest and you really do want to play ranked battles, that's where Private Battle comes into play. You can still use the Private Battle option to play whatever game mode you want, so if you are still wanting to play ranked stuff, you can get a bunch of friends together and make a private battle specifically for that. But here we're going to go ahead and play one of the Splatfest battles. Now the biggest difference between normal and pro is that in Splatfest Battle Normal, you can go ahead and join up with friends so you can play along with them in a lobby. Originally, how Splatfest worked is that you couldn't really join up with your friends at all unless you had a full group of 4 people. So you were able to play with your friends, but you needed a full lobby in order to actually start games. Now, however, you can go ahead and start games without a full lobby, and you can find randoms to join in with your team to fill in the gaps. Kind of like how Salmon does it. But that's not the only difference between the normal and pro modes here. Normal and pro kind of separate the point system here in Splatfest. So originally, Splatfest only really had the one option. There was not a pro option at all. But later in the Splatfest life, we got pro. Since I'm playing by myself, I'm actually going to be playing in this pro mode. So let's go ahead and get things started. So again, the biggest difference between normal and pro is how they separate the scoring system here. And the scoring system in pro is where you're going to find a lot more of the high-leveled players, because a lot of people who play Splatoon 2 more frequently are going to be playing in the pro mode. And usually this is the mode you're going to find people playing if they're just playing Turf War by themselves. If you're having a lot of friends play this game, you're obviously going to find them in the normal mode. So it really just depends. If I'm playing by myself, I'll play in the pro mode just because I can't play this with friends. But if I'm playing Splatfest with a bunch of my friends, it's obviously going to be a normal mode so we can squad up. And I highly recommend you do squad up with a whole bunch of friends to play in Splatfest because it's great to do. So unfortunately here our first game is going to be against our own teammates, which can definitely happen, and yeah, that's a little unfortunate. I don't really want to be showing this game off, so I'll meet you guys back here when I'm facing Team Mushroom. Alright, looks like we found our game against Super Mushrooms here, so this is a perfect time for us to go ahead and start our first real match of the Splatfest. You can't really have a Splatfest without fighting your own teammates. And we're jumping right on into one of the big ones here, 10x Battle. So I get to already talk about what these battle types are. So every once in a while when you're playing in one of these Splatfest battles, you're going to have either a 10x or a 100x battle type appear. More commonly are 10x battles. And when you get one of these, it's a very special game type because this is going to give your... Wow, okay. I couldn't even finish that thought without thinking, we have a big handicap on the other team. Well, booyah indeed, guys. So, as I'm trying to explain, while these mushroom guys are unfortunately having to do this with a teammate down, 10x battles are more common to get than 100x battles, but you definitely want to do your very best in one of these battle types because this will give your team an overall higher score in the end. And I noticed that the 10x and especially 100x battle types, these appear more frequently in the pro mode compared to just normal mode, and it's due to the scoring system being slightly different. The scoring system I feel is slightly more weighed into the pro mode's favor, because it takes you 7 games before you start getting clout added to your team. And basically think of the scoring system in this regard in the same way as the league mode for rank battling. It's pretty much the same deal, where you have to play 7 games before you can start establishing a score. So do keep that in mind when you're playing this mode. You need to play a good amount of it to really make a difference for your team. You'll start earning points immediately in the normal mode, but it may not be as many points as in pro mode. So there's pluses and minuses to playing in both types of game modes. And be careful, looks like they shot off a booyah bomb over here, but luckily I can clean this up really quick. Splosiomatic is really good for Turf War, so it's a weapon that's definitely good just to cover up things real quick. I'm gonna wait right here for a moment, waiting for them all to respawn, and then I can hit all 3 team members on the opposite side with 10 missiles. That'll do a lot of damage and give us a lot of ink over on their side. They're in danger, but I kind of expect this with the teammate down. One thing I should mention during Splatfest is that I do notice that Splatoon 2 is a little more unstable in terms of its netcode, so I notice a lot more people getting kicked from Splatoon 2 games during Splatfest than any other time. And I think it's mainly because these servers are getting hammered with people. There's people playing Splatfest more frequently than normal Turf War, and because of this, the servers, I swear, they can never handle all the influx of players all at once. Oh, gotta be careful of that splashdown. Gonna put me another beacon down. Maybe it's a distraction. Okay, looks like we're okay now. I'm gonna put down another beacon over here, just in case the one I put down earlier gets destroyed. How did I miss that second Tenna missile? The second I fired, I must have moved my reticle away, just ever so slightly from the other guy. We're doing pretty good here. I would be very surprised if the opposite team did take this back now because of the whole down a team member issue. I feel bad for them, but this is just kind of the nature of Splatfest. There's more disconnects than ever in this mode, and I notice this happening more frequently where you're going to have either your team or the opposing team be a teammate down just because of the unstable nature of Splatoon 2. In a way, that's kind of like the charm of this mode, because this is really only something you experience very frequently here. If this was like this 24/7, I don't think people would be happy. Alright, looks like we're just about there at the end. Just get a couple more shots out, and that is game. So, I'm very certain we won that game. Something tells me we had a high lead. Oh man, we won the 10x battle. I can't believe we did it. It's not like it was 4 against 3 or anything. Gotta feel bad for the Mushroom team. So we get clout here when we win a match. We get 0 clout when we lose, unfortunately. But that is the nature of playing pro compared to normal. It's more or less the scoring system being more way in your favor when you win. Kind of like how ranked battle only gives you money when you win. That was a pretty good game in my books. Minus the whole down a team member thing for the opposite side. So now that we've done our first Splatfest match here, I think it's time for us to go ahead and jump around to different themes here that were in the Splatfest rotation throughout Splatoon 2's lifespan. Now we are taking a look at the unofficial first Splatfest in Splatoon 2. This is the Cake vs. Ice Cream Splatfest. Now, if you didn't play Splatoon 2 when it first was starting to come out, then you wouldn't know about the Splatfest, and that's simply because this was actually a demo event that Nintendo put on for Splatoon 2. This Splatfest, as I said, is an unofficial, official first Splatfest for the game, as you were able to play this Splatfest even if you did not own Splatoon 2, as this did come out a few days before Splatoon 2 did. This was to test the Splatoon 2 servers even further before the game came out. Splatoon 2 had a number of global test fire events before the main game did release, but a full-on Splatfest that tests out the servers one last time before the game came out was a great idea in my opinion. And this was an interesting Splatfest too. I was on Team Cake for this one, and this was really my first feel for a lot of the newer stages that would appear in Splatoon 2, and then you have some returning old ones here too, like Moray Towers here. This stage was one of the returning stages from Splatoon 1, and this was like the big sniping stage in Splatoon 1. A lot of people who are a fan of the charging weapons do like this stage a lot, but a lot of people who play a lot of close range weapons, like the dualies here for example, this could be a little bit of a rough one for you, but I'm doing okay here with the dualies, I say. At this time, I was actually playing Splatoon 2 still using just standard stick control. It wasn't until the game fully came out and I played it for a couple weeks where I started to learn how to use the gyro control on the Switch, because I'm so used to at this point playing Splatoon just with stick controls, as I wasn't really a fan of the gyro control in Splatoon 1, and that's not because the controls were bad or anything. It's because the Wii U gamepad was the only way you could have played Splatoon 1 on Wii U, and because of that I had a harder time getting into the motion controls, just shaking around this giant tablet controller in my hands. But it feels so natural nowadays to use gyro controls on a Switch Pro controller or the Joy-Cons, so I now play Splatoon 2 exclusively with the gyro control. The only time I would ever play Splatoon 2 nowadays without gyro is if I'm playing in handheld mode on the Switch, and I'm taking the system with me in like a moving car, for example, you can't really play motion control based games in a moving vehicle. It just doesn't really work that well. But 9 times out of 10, if I'm playing Splatoon 2, it's on a TV. So most of the time, I play with motion controls on. But yeah, that's just kind of a weird thing. We didn't really get to talk about this Splatfest much, but there's not really too much to say with this one, as it was a demo made for the game right before it came out for a final stress test of the servers, and I feel like it did a good job, because this demo has some instabilities to it, just like Splatoon 2 itself has, so it was a good taste test to see how the online would work, and also told Nintendo what things needed to be adjusted one final time before the game got its full-on 1.0 release to the public. That was a pretty good game there. We did pretty well, I'd say, 51 to 39%. That's a pretty big lead. Biggest thing to note about this demo is that you weren't able to level up experience-wise, but you were earning levels towards your Splatfest ranking. So here, I am now a Cake Queen, but I'm still at level 1. Also, nice communication error. Can't have Splatfest without a comm error, I say. Now let's go ahead and move on to a new theme here. This Splatfest theme is one of the more special ones, as this was a theme for a holiday season. So this is the Trick versus Treat Splatfest. As you notice, this one is a little bit different presenting-wise compared to the one we just came off of with Cake versus Ice Cream. Since this was a holiday-themed Splatfest, they put a little bit more into the presentation of the Splatfest. So you can see stages are decorated now with Halloween stuff, and we have a little spooky intro to each and every single match, which is a nice little touch. Here I'm on Team Treat, because that's just my preference. I like the treats more than the tricks. Not really a big fan of a trick, but always take me a nice little candy bar. Those are good. But in this stage here in particular, I want to go ahead and talk about, because this stage we're playing on is a very special one, as this is one of the Shifty stations that they have exclusive for Splatfest. So here for the Trick v Treat Splatfest, this here is the Shifty station for this said event. Throughout the entire Splatfest, whenever you see Shifty Station pop up, this is the stage that you will be playing on, this specific version. And this is one of the harder ones to kind of fight on, if you want to be honest, because this center platform, the only way you're getting here is with these ink rails all across the map. So you're not able to get to the center point as easily, and because of that, the stage is kind of broken up into two halves. Your side and the opposing team side, and it's kind of hard to deal with because of that. If someone gets into base like we're having happen right now with the opposing team member just kind of trying to cover the ink here, but we don't really let them do that. Once that happens and you lose track of what's going on, it is very easy for the other side to take the lead pretty quickly. One of the things I recommend having for this stage is something that can easily get to the center, and one of the best things is Inkjet, because Inkjet, you can use its little boost to fly up above and get to the center platform. So just that short amount of time being up there with the Inkjet is enough time to pressure back the opposing team, which gives you more time to ink and also gives your teammates more time to also get to the center with the ink rails. It's nice to also see a standard stage in multiplayer here in Splatoon 2 use ink rails, something that's normally only really something you see in the single player mode in Splatoon 2. The only other time you really see ink rails is in some of the ranked battle types in certain stages, like Mori Towers, for example, in Rainmaker. You'll start seeing ink rails there, but it's a little bit different. It's not this kind of ink rail where you're just grinding on it. And these kind I've only ever seen in the single player. So it is nice to see single player based components make their way into Splatfest stages, and that's the nice thing about Shifty stations. In general, they bring a lot of concepts into these stages that you would really only see in the single player campaign, but now you get to see in the multiplayer mode, which is a nice treat. You see what I did there? Nice treat on Team Treat. You see, I told you I like treats better than tricks. I picked the right team. With that, now we are done with this game, so we did pretty good there. It's a little back and forth looking on the map, but at the end of the day, it looks like our team won this pretty comfortably. That's about a 30% gap right there. That's a lot. We did pretty good, if I do say so myself. Again, this is one of the harder Shifty stations, in my opinion, to play on, but I do really like it. It was actually one of my favorite ones, just in terms of raw concept. It was a really fun Shifty station to play on. Now moving on here to another theme, we're going to be jumping the gun here and looking at the final Splatfest theme in Splatoon 2. Or at least what was the final canonical theme, because now Super Mushroom vs. Superstar has trumped this Splatfest as being the last one in order, but hey, semantics here. This was supposed to be the final Splatfest event that Nintendo would host in Splatoon 2 until they decided to continue Splatfest for a little bit longer than they originally planned to. So, this here is a really, really good Splatfest. This Splatfest lasted for 72 hours. Normally, Splatfest only lasted for 24. On rare occasions, they would give you 48 hours if it was a bigger event, like for a holiday, but this Splatfest, since it was supposed to be the final one, lasted a full 3 days. And this one was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. I think the theming of it was really nice because it's Pearl against Marina. So you take your two hosts and pit them against each other, just like in Splatoon 1's final Splatfest. The colors look very nice together, gold and silver, it's a nice touch. And this shifty station we're playing on, this was the shifty station they made exclusively for the Chaos vs. Order Splatfest. And this has got to be my favorite one that they did, because this stage is so good. This stage is based off the final boss fight in Splatoon 2's Octo Expansion DLC. And in fact, this song that you're hearing, this is also from the Octo Expansion as well. This was the music played during the final boss fight, and the song is called Fly Octo Fly. This was performed by Pearl and Marina during the final boss in Octo Expansion. And if you don't have that DLC, this stage still showed up in your rotation with this music. It was a really nice touch, and it was a great way to end these Splatfest events in Splatoon 2. It was going out with a bang, and it was a really good idea. The stage's gimmicks aren't really much of gimmicks, I feel. They're really well and thought out. You have these bombs that are attached to the base of the stage in general. If you shoot the suction cup bombs that land on the ground, they will explode in your aim color, which will do a lot for your teams in terms of coverage. And at the final minute mark, you can hear Pearl dropping down into the stage, and if you get center control where Pearl is, then your team will get to use a special weapon returning from Splatoon 1. You get access to the Killer Whale from Pearl, so she'll set up the weapon and she'll fire off a blast at the opposing team. It is a really cool idea, and honestly, I was not expecting to see the Killer Whale come back, but here it is in this stage. It's a little sad it's just in this stage, but the fact that it made an appearance at all is really nice. And again, this is a reference to the Octo Expansion. And I'm not going to say exactly what it's a reference to, as you need to play that Octo Expansion for yourself if you want to see it, because I don't want to spoil anything with that DLC. I think it's a really good DLC pack, and it is definitely worth picking up if you are a fan of Splatoon 2. But with that, that is the end of this match, and now we get to see who won, and I'm very certain to say it was my team. Yeah, that was a pretty big gap. For this Splatfest, I was on Team Order. Out of the two hosts, I do like Marina more, but I feel like a lot of people can really say that. If you want to be honest, a lot of people really do like Marina as a host, but there are Pearl fans out there. And the Splatfest did prove that, because popularity vote was on Pearl's side. More people voted for her team than for Marina's. And now let's go ahead and take a look at one more Splatfest theme here to wrap up this video. And we're going from the very last Splatfest canonically in Splatoon 2 to the very first one canonically in the retail version of the game this time around, Mayo versus Ketchup. For this one, I was on Team Ketchup because I just kind of preferred Ketchup over Mayo. And I feel like this was a good Splatfest to end on, just to kind of talk about one big thing that I want to mention with these Splatfests in Splatoon 2. And it's just the themes in general, I feel, with the Splatoon 2 Splatfest. Compared to Splatoon 1, I feel like the themes for Splatfest were weaker in this game compared to its predecessor. I feel like a lot of themes in Splatoon 2 were a lot harder for people to argue, and you would usually see the popularity vote just sway in one direction way more than another. Splatoon 1, I feel like, had a lot more Splatfest themes that are easier to argue, like cats versus dogs, or art versus science, Pirates vs. Ninja, stuff like that. And then you also had some pretty cool themed ones too, like Pokemon Red vs. Blue for the Pokemon anniversary at the time, SpongeBob vs. Patrick for a Nickelodeon partnership they had at the time. There was just a lot more arguable themes, I feel, in that game compared to Splatoon 2, where a lot of the themes kind of felt more generic-y, like Mayo versus Ketchup, Flight versus Invincibility, Sci-Fi versus Fantasy, Sweater versus Socks, Chicken versus Egg. Like, a lot of these, I feel like, were a little more generic, and we did have some cool Splatfest themes. We did have some partnership ones as well, like we had 3 Splatfests in a row, all around Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they were arguing what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle was the best one, and they had all 4 turtles be represented in Splatfest at one time, and then whatever turtles came out on top between 2 different Splatfests, they had round out the final Splatfest in a trio of events. So you had Raph versus Leo, Mikey versus Donnie, and then Raph versus Donnie. Since Raph won the first Splatfest and Donnie won the second one, they had the 2 winning turtles face off to see which would be the best one at the end. We have, obviously, the Super Mushroom vs. Superstar Splatfest recently here for Mario. And then we also had a Smash Bros. Themed Splatfest, which was Hero versus Villain, to kind of have an internal partnership there. But I noticed, besides the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Splatfest, we didn't really have any other partnership Splatfests. And it would have been cool to see them continue that trend, because they did that a bit with Splatoon 1. They did 2 partnered ones there, because they had Autobots vs. Decepticons and SpongeBob vs. Patrick. So that's 2 different partnership ones right there with external companies, compared to Splatoon 2 just having the TMNT one. And that's basically it for a partnered Splatfest theme. I would have loved to see more events like that in general, and when Nintendo announced that Chaos vs. Order was going to be the final Splatfest, and the event officially ended in summer of 2019, and then in 2020, Nintendo surprised everyone by saying they were going to bring back Splatfest, and for the most part, they were encore events. So it was Mayo vs. Ketchup encore, Chicken vs. Egg encore, Treat vs. Trick encore. But then they threw a curveball at everyone, giving us a brand new event with Super Mushroom vs. Superstar for the Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary. I would just love to see him continue Splatfest going forward. Even if it's like once every couple months, I would love to see him continue this event, because this event, it means so much to anyone who plays Splatoon 2, myself included. This event is just a great time. It's a lot of fun. But now, with that all said, that marks the end of our Splatfest journey, as now that was it. We are done playing Splatfest. The event is over. The Splatfest is donezo! Congrats, players. We're all winners today. Yeah, so which team gets all the glory? Lil J is tallying the numbers as we speak. We should know soon. And that's it. When Splatfest officially ends, you get told that, hey, it's over, we're tallying the numbers, so check back later. And now you get your new stage rotation, adding back in your ranked and league battle modes. So now you can start playing other modes outside of Turf War once again in Splatoon 2. But you won't know who won the Splatfest right away. Come back into the game in a few hours, and then you'll get another news announcement specifically talking about who won that last Splatfest. When the Splatfest is over, though, they will take away your Splatfest tee. So keep in mind how much longer you have in the event, so you can go ahead and scrub it clean before they take the shirt away. But let's go ahead and check the results from our latest Splatfest here, the Super Mushroom vs. Superstar Splatfest. Y'all know what time it is. It's Off the Hook, coming at you live from Inkopolis Square. Marina, before we announce the stages, why don't you share the breaking news? Breaking news? What'd you break this time? Didn't break anything. Let's talk about the Splatfest results. Here we go. Let's get to see who was the popular vote for Super Mushroom vs. Superstar. Results are in, and the winning team was Superstar. Oh man. Yes! Alright. Now for the part that matters. Yeah, popularity isn't everything. Let's see which team got the most clout normal and pro matches. So now, let's tally up who did the best here. Results are in, and the teams that did the best is Super Mushroom. Are you kidding me? Wow. Okay, y'all, it's time. The final results. The winner of this Splatfest is... Popularity may went to Superstar, but the wins went to Super Mushroom. Congratulations to Super Mushroom team. Super Mushroom's going big! Ah, dang it. Big ups to all my teammates. So much for Invincible. Whatever, I'm proud of my Superstars. We lost, but we still shine bright. True that, Splatfests are the best. You said it, Pearl. That was so much fun. I'm kind of bummed that I can't call myself a superstar after today, though. What? Put a cork in that right now. You'll always be a superstar to me, Marina. You light up my life. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Pearl. That was really big of you. I see what you did there. Seriously though, Pearl. What would happen to us if I lost my touch? Whoa, hold on, Marina. You always have the goods. Your beats are the best. I never wanted to rap on anything else. I appreciate that, Pearl. But what if I wasn't a super DJ anymore? What if I lost my shine? Marina, get those negative thoughts out of your head. For real. If that happened, we work together to power you back up. We're a team. Off the hook. Never shook. Win every fight. Like a shark bite. If you played in the Splatfest, your sea snails are waiting in the square. Off the hook, signing off. Love you all. And that's it. Now we get told of our regular league and rank stages, and as soon as the announcements are over, we will load into the square with a number of snails based on how well we did in the Splatfests. So how many snails you get depends on a couple different factors in Splatoon 2 Splatfests. So you get more snails depending on if your team wins or lose during a Splatfest. So because I was on the losing team, I only get a total of 21 Super Sneeze Snails, even though I didn't make it to the max rank, but that is because of the fact that I did lose. If I was on the winning team, I would have got a total of 24. So on screen now, you're seeing, in terms of the rankings, how many snails you got based on how well your team did and how well you did in the Splatfest as a whole, as this is going to affect how many snails that you got. Another thing to mention is how the scoring system worked in Splatfest in Splatoon 2, simply because Splatfest originally were scored in a different way. They were still scored based on a 3-point system, popularity vote, and then a game-based vote of some kind, but in the early days of Splatoon 2 Splatfest, within the first year, so a whole year of Splatfest went by with this first kind of scoring system, where they went off solo and team-based scoring systems. And this didn't really work all that well. It was very inconsistent. The scores were all over the place. So starting with the retro versus modern Splatfest, they changed the scoring system to normal and pro categories, which is where they introduced the newer version of the lobby system for Splatfest, where they made the normal lobby where you can play up with friends or by yourself, and the pro lobby, which worked like league battles in Splatoon 2, giving you more clout to add towards your team's score, but you don't earn any clout if you lose, so it was a more professional category, as the name implies, a more serious one. So it kind of helped balance things out a bit more, but I still feel like the scoring system in the Splatoon 2 Splatfest wasn't the best, and I would hope for Splatoon 3, when they do eventually bring back Splatfests, I would love to see them tweak this scoring system even further to try to make it a little more balanced, because Splatfest and Splatoon 2 kind of proved that popularity vote really doesn't matter at the end of the day. The amount of games that your team wins overall doesn't matter if it's the normal pro category or in the old days the solo or team categories. That's really where the game was. You had to constantly win, and if your team wasn't winning, then you just don't lose the Splatfest as a whole. So I would love to see him tweak this a little bit further and try to make it a little more balanced, because after a while Splatfest did kind of go off to the less popular teams usually kept on winning, as that's where a lot of the pro players started to play, as they realized that's where they can easily come out on top compared to in the popular team and have a harder time winning games. But that's pretty much it. There was a lot here to cover with Splatfest, and that's just because of how big of an event Splatfests are. And I didn't even touch the surface on a lot of the different themes here in Splatoon 2. So if you want more Splatoon 2 Splatfest videos to watch, I did a whole stream series over the past couple years where I played every single Splatfest in Splatoon 2. So if you want to see more Splatoon 2 Splatfest, I will link down in the description below a playlist to all of the Splatoon 2 Splatfests that I participated in throughout the game's lifespan. There is a lot of Splatoon 2 Splatfests here, so this is definitely something I wouldn't say binge in a day. This is going to take you quite some time. But I did enjoy playing and streaming every single Splatfest in Splatoon 2. And I would really love to see this event continue. If not in Splatoon 2, then I would love to see an eventual Splatoon 3 and see this event come back in that game. Splatoon 2 Splatfest mean a lot to me. Splatoon Splatfest as a whole mean a lot to me. And I would love to see this event continue on. But with that said, that is everything I want to go ahead and talk about in this video. So thank you guys for watching. This was definitely a very long series here, and I do enjoy making these videos, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching them. This was a lot of fun, and I think I'm ready now to go ahead and just step away from Splatoon 2 for a bit. But I do feel like there's still something else that needs to be done here in Inkopolis. I'm not very sure, but I feel like I'll catch that train when the time comes. Thank you guys for watching this series, and thanks to everyone who has joined me in this multiplayer journey. Now with that all said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.